I can see no reason not to pick this.
Get a sense for what the vintage is going to be like for Tempranillo in 2009?
Well, it certainly looks good. I had thought we would be harvesting earlier, and I was wrong. Usually I can predict that pretty well based on bud break and flowering and veraison dates. And by using a little spreadsheet, I can sort of predict the start of harvest. This year I missed it by 10 days. And I don't know why I missed it by so much, but the harvest has come off well. Everything's bricked up, it's tasting well.
You have a copy.
This is all the Clone 1 we have left.
Now, how do you decide which Tempranillo goes into your port program and which goes into your reserve program?
When we
I have a copy.
started making port,
Yes, Alex. Bart is in.
let me turn this thing off. When we started making port, we used Tinta Roriz, which we had dubbed Clone 4. Tinta Roriz being the Portuguese name for, in the Douro, for Tempranillo. And it's been genetically looked at, and it's identical to other Tempranillos using the microsatellite typing loci. We never thought the quality of the wine that we made from Tinta Roriz was as good as it was from, say, Clone 1 or Clone 3. And what we have done is phased out Tinta Roriz. And so now we substitute, instead of an absolute origin in Portugal, we use a Spanish grapevine, either Clone 1 or Clone 3 for our port program. I don't know that's a big deal, but we've been pretty much purist in trying to stick to the right clones and everything, and so I'd throw that explanation out there.
The industry is struggling with, outside of Portugal, how to come up with the definitive, I guess, it'd be kind of a European or EU type friendly term for fortified wine. Is there any movement as far as trying to come up with a name that everybody embraces, or?
There is. The American Sweet Wine, in other words, dessert wine, port wine association is interested in that. The Tapas group, the Tempranillo Advocates, Producers and Amigos Society, almost everyone who makes that kind of wine wants a term. We don't have it. Yet when we enter our wine in say a state fair or a wine competition in America, or certainly any international wine competition, the wines are all classified as port, and that's the designate, port wine, and yet we can't use the word port for our bottles. I say we can't. We Americans in general, we New World people, can't do that. The U.S. laws allow those of us who began making port before 2004 to use it, and I started in '99, and so I have a grandfathered in port label. But I would like to get rid of that in favor of a label that would mean that it was New World equivalent of port, a port style wine. Tough problem. The TTB hasn't given us any suggestions as to what we might use. Every time we try a new word that we think is close to encompassing what's in the bottle, they say, oh no, you can't use that one. So it's a little frustrating. The seeds are good. Look at this. Some of the Tempranillo seeds have a reddish component to them. Now, both of those are a little on the green side. But that reddish component comes on about picking time.
So when did you plant this block?
This was planted in '95. There's only, I think in this very section we're walking in, it's 101 rootstock. I think we only have like 400 or 500 vines on that rootstock. And then it changes as you go down the hill and as you go up the hill. Look at the size of these trunks. That's a big vine. Now see, from row 16, row 17 rather down, we've already picked it. That's 4453 rootstock. And that rootstock on this soil will make the fruit come in about 5 or 6 days earlier. Never more than, maybe just a week, maybe 8 days. And then 10114 is next, and then 3309 will be the last of these 3 rootstocks to ripen its fruit. And theoretically, since this is higher up on this slope, that should ripen first. So I believe it's a true rootstock effect. And for this vineyard and its soil, 4453 is a terrific rootstock anyway because of the high magnesium we have from the decomposition of the serpentine rock. That's our bedrock here. And so it's created a high magnesium soil, and 4453 is a magnesium deficient rootstock, and so it's like it's so happy to be growing in a soil that's rich in magnesium that it does an early ripening job. At least that's what it appears to be.
Now, how many clones of Tempranillo were planted here at Abacela?
We have 8. These were the first 3. Well, I already grafted them over, sorry. We planted UC Davis clone 1, UC Davis clone 2, and Valdepenas. And that row there used to be Valdepenas, and that used to be clone 2. But we like clone 1 so much better that we took the stuff from the 3309, or I can't remember, maybe it was a 10114 cyanwood, and grafted the old 2 and 3 over. Now we still grow clone 2 and clone 3 on another location.
Now, I know that it seems that Alex and Andrew are pretty excited about the Toro. How do you describe that one again?
Toro was the 6th clone we came in and we planted here. It's a UC Davis clone. It's known as clone 11 in the UC Davis nomenclature. We planted it here as our 6th clone, and so we called it clone 6 to start with, but we've cleaned it up and we now call it clone 11. The origin of the clone was in Zamora, Spain, in the growing district, the DO of Toro. And it took its origin there, and therefore is often called Toro. We really like the clone. It has a lot of nice, dark, fruited, both aromatics and taste profile to it, and seems to really do well here at Abacela. That's a very preliminary run because we've only made wine from it twice. We didn't have a full barrel the first time, and then in '08 we had I think 4 barrels or 6 barrels. We've processed several ton of it this year, so we'll be knowing a lot more soon. But we really like it.